Dawn here with Fairy Tale Yarn Co. and I'm going to do a series on fixing mistakes. In the first video here I'm going to show you how to tink and how to frog. So tinking is where you're going to go back one stitch at a time to get back to where you made a mistake to fix it. And frogging is when you take it off the needle completely and rip it out. So we're going to start with tinking, and then I'm going to show you frogging, and I'm going to show you something that can help with frogging. So to tink, you're going to take your working yarn here and pull it up or to the side so that you can really see that stitch. So you want to open that stitch up. So like this. See that stitch? And you can see I loop it around my finger to be able to just keep going without having to readjust. See how that opens that stitch up there? Pulling it up, pulling it to the side. See this stitch right here? This is where I want to go. And now this is a knit, so those were purls, those four were purls. Now I'm in a knit stitch. See how that opens that up right there? So that's just where you're going to stick your needle. Right there. And now I'm back to a purl, and I find pulling up on a purl and purling this way on the knit makes it easier for me to see, but do whichever way makes it easiest for you to see the stitch. So that one was a little harder to see there, so I'm going to pull it with the needle where I think it is, and then pull up, and now you can see it better. It's not opening as much as the other ones were. But see the leg here? That's what I'm looking for, is this leg of the stitch. And now this one. And now I've ripped back one row. So this is good when you have an intricate stitch that you need to take out each one, because like if you're doing a lace pattern, it can be hard to go into the stitches after you've ripped them off, after you take them off and rip them out. And it can also be good if you don't have very far back to go. Frogging is better when you have quite a bit to take out. So if it was a piece this small and my actual work that I needed to take out, I probably wouldn't frog. I would probably just tink, because I can actually tink pretty fast, and picking them back up after frogging takes longer for me than tinking does. But now I'll show you how to frog. So what I'm going to do is I want to stop a row before my mistake. So let's say my mistake is down here. It's this row here, okay? So I'm going to stop on this row. So I'm going to rip out the row on the needle and the row below, and I'm going to stop, and that's where I'm going to show you the special trick to make it easy. So that's one row there. This is the next row. Don't worry, your stitches are not going to just like start going all the way down. That happens when your stuff comes off the needles, because it's like in your bag moving around. Okay, so now I am at the row before I want to be. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to rip this stitch out here, and now you see this next one came out. When you're on the edge, the stitches are going to come out really easily. So now what I'm going to do, I want to flip it around, because I want to grab these loops. So I have this. This is the row I want on my needles. So now I'm going to take this working yarn and I'm going to gently pull it out of each stitch and then stick it in. And you can also, so you can grab, see the stitch right here, this loop? You can grab the loop and your working yarn and open the stitch up and then stick it in if you're really nervous about frogging. Like this. And then your stitch is not going to come out and you're not going to miss it. Now you are going to need to check the orientation of your stitches when you're done with frogging or tinking to make sure they're on correctly, and I'm going to show you how to do that after this. So I'm going to purposely go into some differently. So these I've been going in from the front to the back. The next I'm going to go in from the back to the front, and this way I can show you in the middle of the work how to tell if the stitches are on correctly when you're working back. So see how I'm just sticking it in that stitch? And by grabbing this loop, this isn't going to come out. Now, if you're not worried about it coming out, you can just pull it out and then pick up the stitch. Pull it out and pick up the stitch. Like that. Show you holding it up again because we're going back to purls here, to the garter stitch. Okay, so now with the edge ones, I always have to pull the stitch a little bit. There we go. Okay, so now I'm turning my work back around because here's my working yarn and I want my working yarn, oh sorry, I turned my work back around because here's my working yarn and I want my working yarn going this way. Because that's how you always knit. Now, if you look, see if I can get it to focus. Right here, I can't tell if that's focusing or not. Do you see this bit right here? It's because I split the stitch. I'll show you how to fix that too. Okay, so now I need to do 4, actually I'm knitting all the way across. Yeah. So, here's this stitch. Now look at this stitch. If I pull down, if I hold down so that the stitch is kind of taut, the working yarn is taut, and I push forward, do you see how the back leg leads the front leg? See how it's farther forward? You want it the other way around. You want your front leg in front. So you can either switch it like that. All I did was like this. I moved it around. So tighten that up. Now you see how the front is leading the back? See that? The front is leading the back there. I'll show you again on another one because it's a little bit easier to see it in the middle of the work. So I'm going to knit this one. So now the other way to do this, when you see, oh, this one is actually oriented correctly. Do you see that? The front is leading the back, going this way, going from here to here. The front is farther to the tip of your needle than the back. So I knit it regular. This one is correct. This one is correct. This one, look. See? See that back leg is behind? So this one is correct. Now this is the split stitch. See? I went into the strand instead of into the loop. So I just take it off and put it back on. That's all you do to fix that. That one is correct. That one is correct. That one is correct. That one is correct. This one is incorrect. Do you see? That back leg is leading the front leg. The back leg is closer to the tip of your needle. So instead of flipping this one, I'm just going to knit into the back of it. Now, if you look, my V's all look the same. And that's what you're wanting. You're wanting your V's to look the same. This one looks bigger because I'm pulling on it. And because it doesn't have another one working next to it there. So see, though, it's oriented the same way. So I'm going to show you what would happen. And it's going to feel weird. When you go into it, it feels tighter. Now look, here, I'm going to knit this one in correctly. Let me show you. So to flip this one, I'm going to go back like that. I just turned the stitch around. That's all I did. Knit that one. Now, if you look, do you see this stitch looks twisted? Do you see how it looks different? It looks different than this one and this one. It's not laying nicely. This leg is going over top of this leg instead of them just being next to each other. See how they're just next to each other here? And here they're twisted. They go over top of this one goes over top of that one. So, work this one correctly. I knit into the back. Knit into the back. All the way across. Okay, so I'm back. I had a little flub there. I ran out of space on my phone, so had to free up some space, and now I'm going to show you. So you can see, I'm going to try to get this really close where you can really see this twisted stitch. It's right here. Do you see how it just looks a little bit different? So that's how you can see a twisted stitch. So if I had seen this, I could tink back to this point and untwist it, and then knit back. Or I could start working this row and mark this stitch, like put a stitch marker before it. And when I get to this one, untwist it, so I would drop down one, untwist this, and then work back up. And I'll show you how to drop down stitches in another video. So that's it. I hope this was helpful. If it was, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to make sure you see all of my tutorials. Thanks. Bye.